Hey there, writing community. I hope you guys are doing well. I am super excited to have an opportunity to chat with you today about our upcoming online retreat, Unleash the Voice Within. In the early part of this year, I want to say last year, but it was in January of this year, we did our first online retreat at Rise Up Writers, which was called Unleash the Writer Within. And honestly, that particular retreat is good for any creative, and it is still available. It's very affordable content in there that anyone can take. These are retreat to go packages. You can take it as a retreat to go package, get a group together, and you guys work through the content and spend time digging through some obstacles. When we did the first retreat in January, the majority of the content, we focused on 3 topics again, which we're going to do again this time. The 3 topics were ambition, motivation, and rejection, I believe. And Jessica Van Roykel did most of the teaching in that one, and we did tie-ins to the Unleash Heart and Soul care sheets, and then Tammy did some prayers for us. We're changing things up a little bit. There's going to be more teaching from both Jessica and myself in this particular one, and there's going to be additional videos per segment. So we have 3 main segments that will be happening in an online retreat. So the online retreat that we did last year was really amazing. It was primarily, like I said, focused on spiritual aspects. This year, we wanted to dig into more of the practical and spiritual aspects, and that is one of the reasons that you're going to have some more teaching available in it, which means that we're not sure that that's all necessarily doable in one weekend. We wanted to provide enough content to keep the flow consistent and have space to either dig into practicing the actual craft of developing your voice and spending time with God to let Him dig into you and maybe bring some healing in some areas, to reveal unhealthy beliefs that you may be struggling with, because we all have them. God showed me another one today through kind of a series of things when I used the Unleashed Heart and Soul Care Sheets tool. That particular tool is just really powerful for spending time with God, learning to hear from Him, and identifying some of the things that we don't necessarily pay attention to or notice or know are happening inside of us with our thoughts and our feelings. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. Okay, so the differences between last year and this year, we're adding more content and we are making it more practical on the writing craft style and focusing on specifically developing your voice. So let's step back a second. What is an online retreat in the first place? How does it work? What do you need to know about it? That's some of the things that I want to cover in this video. And if you have questions, please go ahead and put them down below in the comments. I'll come back to this message, whether this is on Facebook or on YouTube, and just check in every now and then and answer your questions. You can also email me at jolene@riseuppwriters.com, and my name is spelled Jolene. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because I wrote some notes about things I want to make sure I covered. All right, so what is an online retreat? It is a unique opportunity to get away and to focus on writing without having to pay for the expenses necessarily of a hotel room, and definitely not flight costs, which you might have to pay for in a lot of other conferences and retreats. It is a unique type of retreat in that you can do it with other people, but you can also go by yourself. So you're retreating, you're getting away so that you can really focus. My suggestion is if you get a group of people together to do this, you choose your favorite place to go, that you still set aside time to have quiet and work time. So quiet reflection with God and actual work time on the craft itself. So the thing is about this particular retreat, and we call it a retreat to go because a lot of the content will be prepped for you in advance before you even start the retreat. We will provide, the schedule should be hopefully available next week. It's fine-tuning it right now. I just have to put it in like several different places, so I want to make sure that it's looking right. I think it's already on the landing page, at least the basic part of the schedule. So if you go to acultivatedlife.me and you click on Unleash the Voice Within and you keep scrolling, there should be a schedule listed there. So that'll give you a general idea of what happens. But the schedule is designed to give you structure for this weekend, honestly, no matter what weekend you do it. We are doing it live on January 24th through the 26th, January 2020 coming up. But it's not going to be just for that event. The benefit of attending live is that you will be able to attend the Zoom calls, which we use Zoom as a web conferencing opportunity to gather together in video and audio, or you can turn off your video and just have audio, whichever works for you. It's an opportunity to come together as a community during the retreat to feel a little bit more like we are doing this together and walking alongside one another in this unique weekend and getaway. And it's also structured with, there's going to be 3 of those Zoom calls. Friday is the day that you will get away. So you can get away to your friend's house. You can get away to, if you just have space in your home and you have other people there and they're able to go somewhere else so that you have a quiet space. You want to go to an Airbnb. You have a friend who has a guest house. Find whatever works for you, especially within your financial means. And that's another reason we wanted to do the retreat this way, because we know so many people want to go, they want to learn, they want to develop craft, and they do want to meet other people and network as well. But it's challenging when you add together the flight cost, the ticket cost, the hotel stay, and all those things together, right? So this, you can kind of make it work for you. You have the basic retreat fee, and then you choose where you want to go. Okay, so Friday, when you go, it's designed to start around noonish Central Time. But the Zoom calls have time zones for all of the United States time zones. So if you are in another country, you're going to need to adjust it a little bit more, which could be tricky. But we are doing the sessions. Last year, we did the sessions, I think we did 4, we're doing 3 this time. It was a little bit too much. People didn't show up at the end because they kind of got tired, and so we kind of tweaked some things so that we could maximize the time that we're together and have it be enjoyable and then also informative, learning from one another. Well, how's God showing up? So we have an opportunity here. However, we're going to start Friday, we're going to kind of start off together, okay? So we won't be doing a Friday night check-in. What we kind of saw happen and what I think is happening is that by the time you're done doing some of the work Friday, I want you to have that time to just reflect with God and to relax if that's what you need. If you're getting away for a retreat and you have small children at home, this is a great opportunity to just either do some more writing or have quiet time with God or kind of veg out because you don't normally get to do that. So choose what works for you. But we're going to gather together on Friday afternoon. Saturday, we're going to start the day together, and then again Saturday afternoon, which means because these are earlier in the day, there's not an evening session with the Zoom calls. That means that the people in my friends in Europe, other countries at 6-8 hour time differences should be able to still join us for the Zoom calls. So I find that fascinating, and I hope that we get to have people from other countries joining us. The one caveat to that is that we are actually doing a 4th call that's not the weekend of the retreat. That is going to be February. I believe it's a Monday night, and I believe that's the 24th in February at 6 or 7 p.m. Central Time. I have to double check the time, but that is an evening session because once we get into the week, most people that I've noticed in the United States are not able to get on to the Zoom calls until evening. So I apologize if that does impede for some of you in other countries, unless you get up super, super, super early, which I don't want you to do unless you're already doing it. Okay, so you'll get settled on Friday. You'll have time to kind of meet with us and just get excited, pray for one another, whatever happens during those couple of hours. And then you'll go through the content. And the schedule provides a structure that says, kind of to do this in order and then to do this, or maybe to choose an activity, because there's going to be different hands-on activities, not hands-on like actual writing activities, right? Some of it is craft development, which I mentioned before, and then some of it may be spiritual. In addition, we're going to include prompts for Unleashed Heart and Soul care sheets. So we did not package it together. The Unleashed Sheets is a separate deal. You are encouraged to purchase it, but it is not a requirement. So if you already have it, you don't have to pay again to have it. It's totally up to you. But here's just a little bit of a heads up about Unleash Sheets if you haven't already used them, or if you're not familiar with them. And so I apologize if you are, and I'll try to make this brief. Basically, this tool is super helpful in, like I said before, processing with God, practicing hearing from Him, and bringing things to our awareness that maybe kind of stirring inside of us and blocking us. We might have obstacles that we kind of know are there, but we really don't know. We don't know what to do with them or how to deal with it. And then when I do these Unleash prompts, it gives you a specific guided structure to use the tool, because the tool is super versatile. You can use it just like every week to check in with God. You can use it whenever a challenging situation comes up in your life. Like today, I used it because I was struggling with the decision and I wanted it to be God honoring. I knew that I had some unhealthy guilt tied with healthy guilt, maybe, and I wasn't sure. And I kind of wanted to just spend time with God. And He used it. In the quiet time, He brought some verses to mind, and then the verse that I opened in my YouVersion Bible app totally tied into all of it, which was amazing. And then when I wrote down the verses that came to mind, God revealed more things to me. And it's just amazing how God shows up through this tool. It basically facilitates a process of experiencing Him. So in the event, there will be activities for the writing development outside of Unleash, but then there's going to be additional content, videos that I will create about how to tie in the teachings with the Unleash tool so that you can dig in even deeper. When we're doing kind of some of this heart and soul work, that's one of the reasons, like towards the end last time, a lot of people were kind of emotionally tired. And so we purposely schedule this from Friday to Sunday, but Sunday doesn't have anything on the schedule. We ask you to reserve the weekend so that you have time to just rest with God. You can use it to catch up on things that you didn't get done Friday and Saturday. You can use it to just pause, reflect, and spend the day with Him. Maybe go out in nature, go for a walk, do something different than you might normally do, especially if you have a lot of responsibilities at home as a caretaker of little ones or of sick ones, anything like that. It's powerful to just have that time away. So if you were going to get away to a conference, you'd be gone for a certain number of days. You'd have all that traveling time. You won't have the traveling time except for whatever you decide that you want to do. One thing that I thought was really neat last year is we had a couple of husbands that sent their wives away, one to a bed and breakfast and one to a hotel room to just get a break. They really, really needed it. And so more than anything, I think this weekend prompted an opportunity to get away, to be with God. And some of it was time to spend on their writing desires and talking with other writers, which is so meaningful and so helpful. And some of it was just to rest and receive. And that is helpful and productive. Never deny the productivity of resting when your soul needs rest, your body needs rest, your mind needs rest, okay? I learned that the hard way. I don't know if you guys know my story, but I'll just share real briefly. In 2012, we moved to a ranch in Texas where we were fostering. We had up to 12 children in our home at a time. The ranch was owned by a foster agency. We didn't own it. It was out in the country. And every kind of obstacle, physical, spiritual, emotional, the amount of times I got sick, my back went out, the things that broke in the house, the behaviors that we had in the kids, the spiritual battles that we had, the way that spiritual, even like Caleb music wouldn't play as soon as we hit our driveway, just crazy number of things for 14 months. So overwhelmed, came home with signs of PTSD, acute anxiety, depression, just stressed to the max. And so I am much more in tune with my body now, and recognizing when I might be, when I need, because I do a lot. I'm highly motivated, but I need time for that rest. And so when we can take this time to just let God do His thing. This isn't about accomplishing a specific goal. It's about being intentional and making space for God. Something that I say a lot is making space, and that's one of the things that Unleash Sheets does with those prompts. And so the prompts throughout this retreat are going to do some of that for you as well. Okay, so what are you going to find in the retreat? Basically, you're going to get connected to, it's hosted on Thinkific, which is a course site. That's where I host my Unleash Sheets as well. And on the day, on Friday, January 24th, all the content will be available. So as we have some available, we might have like a couple of the welcome things might be previewed in the next couple of weeks, but content that's in there will go live on Friday the 24th. And you can start early in the day if you want to. If you want to start other whatever, it's going to start early in the day as far as the releasing of the content. And then you'll log in, and it'll be in order. Like here's some basic helpful information in the beginning, and then here's the teaching, here's your download, here's the questions. So some of it is text, some of it's PDF. The one thing that if there is something that needs to be printed in advance, we will try to make sure that you have that available beforehand. I'm just realizing that because we didn't have PDFs last time, and we don't know for sure that we're going to have PDFs for this particular one. As far as like worksheet content, usually you could just use a journal and use whatever tools you have. But we'll make sure that you have that in advance, because you will want to print out the schedule, possibly. I don't know. I like to have it printed in front of me, because if you go to a hotel, you may not be easy to print. That's the reason I'm mentioning that. Anyway, so you'll have access to those videos, and there is a place for discussion in there. But then we'll be together on the Zoom call. So in the retreat area, there is going to be the information on the Zoom link. It'll be the same link for all 3 calls. And when you join, I think when you join, you're probably going to have your video and your audio muted. And the reason is sometimes people come into a Zoom call and they don't realize that there's a loud fan in the background. They're not necessarily ready when they're starting, and they're making all kinds of noise, and it can be really distracting if somebody's in the middle of talking. And we want this to be a good time of fellowship, so we want you to be engaged. But so once you come in, you can unmute yourself when you're ready to talk. I just ask people to mute their audio when they're not talking, just so that it's not distracting with extra noises. Because people just don't know sometimes what kind of noise is in the background. And you don't have to have your video on. You can just do audio, and you can even call in if that works better for you. So that is totally your choice. We'll have it both muted so that you can decide, do you want people to see you first thing in the morning or not? Totally fine. Either way, that is totally up to you. All right, let me look at my notes again and make sure I don't miss anything. And again, if you have any questions, please put them down below. Okay, I mentioned the follow-up Zoom call will be February 24th in the evening. The 3 points that we're talking about this time is style, story, and influence. I think it's story, style, influence in the order. In all of these 3 aspects, including the work that we do and the teaching and the activities, I believe that these are going to help us see and embrace our identity in Christ. That concept has been kind of vague for me in the past, but when God sees us a certain way, and He has gifted us a certain way, and we're afraid to use that gifting, or we can't believe that God has created us in a way that seems too good for us. Like, for example, He's given me a gift to teach, but I've held back and not accepted that for far too long, because the burden of teaching feels really heavy and scary, and all these doubts come to the surface of, who am I? Who will listen to me? And I've always had a younger looking face, so people would, I always wondered, people are going to say, I don't listen to her. She looks like she doesn't know anything. So all these things were part of my accepting and embracing my identity in Christ. And I believe when we talked about the content for this particular retreat, I believe that there was a lot of what was coming out is going to impact our ability to walk in our identity, which will impact our voice for the kingdom wherever God has us use it. In our homes, in our personal lives, in our businesses, and in our writing work. Okay. Let's see. Any other, just a reminder that this is flexible. This is at your own pace. And you can take a break. So you have a schedule, but you also have flexibility. And this time is between you and God, primarily. So you have the content there, but you are in charge of not only managing your time, but deciding, actually, I want to hold off on this one. I'm going to come back to this in a month. I'm going to get away again. Or I know that I'm going to have some quiet time available on a certain date. So I'm going to schedule time to come back to it. And that gives you the freedom to say, I just need a break right now. So if something feels emotionally overwhelming, take that break. Or if you go faster and you're like, wow, this was actually kind of easy, I want to do a little bit more, it's up to you. You get to decide on that. All right, I think we are down to the last couple of things. Yes, okay, a couple things. If you are not able to join us on January 24th, you can, or like you missed one of the days or something, you can sign up for this retreat anytime. The only thing that you're going to miss is those live calls that particular weekend, okay? If you do it still before February 24th, if you even just purchase it, you don't have to have had it done, but if it's purchased by February 24th, then you will get to join us on the Zoom call that's a follow-up with the people who have registered, okay? I'm really excited about doing that this year, and I hope that that's going to be a blessing just for accountability and checking in and, you know, did anything happen after the retreat, or what goals did you have? Have you worked on it? Let's celebrate together, that kind of thing. And we would love to include you if you purchase it prior to February 24th so that I can make sure that you get the email and invitation, whether or not you do the retreat at a later date. That's totally up to you. Okay. And if you want to get together with friends to do this, that's great. Some people are more extroverted. They want to have that social time in between. So you can take a look at the schedule and say, this is how I'm going to work it around having some friends. The one thing we do ask is that each person has their own login information, their own registration, that they pay separately for registration, just to be honoring of our resources, and so they would also have individual access to all the content well beyond that particular weekend. If you have questions about that and about having people together, just let me know. Again, it's Jolene at riseuprider's.com. I'm more than happy to help you out. All right. I think that is pretty much it. So if you have any questions, again, just let me know. And the last thing is really important. If you purchase by December 15th, which is Sunday this week when I record this video, until Sunday night, you can use a coupon VOICE, lowercase letters, VOICE 2020 to save $35 off the retreat. It's already priced at only $147, and there's going to be a lot of great content in there. So I hope you get to take advantage of that, and I look forward to seeing you at the retreat. If you missed the coupon, and the $147 is still a fantastic deal, so I hope you take advantage of that, and I look forward to seeing you guys in January. If you have any questions, just go ahead and shoot them below. Thank you.